So thank you for joining this last presentation. It will last for, let's say, 45 minutes. And just to remind you that at 9 p.m. you are welcomed in Bunker. It's a brand new bar, and we'll have a lot of fun there, some networking, beer tasting, so you are welcome to join us. Just to give you an explanation, there is a parallel session going on right now at lecture room number 2. We're going to talk about one particular website that we developed for the biggest media company in Slovenia, but that parallel session holds...
Sorry to interrupt.
Of course.
For beer party, have address here, your route, and if you go to the website to get the round section, map there, and it's marked.
Thank you, Janis. No, it's important for the beer at where to understand. So. Okay, so this is Taja Topolovec. I'm Rok Štebe. We'll be co-hosting this session today for you. We formerly work at Delo. We don't work there anymore. We worked there until the end of 2012. But for this session, we'll be presenting to you as we are still working there, because we'll be saying we, so just to explain. I'm the joker and she's the brain. You'll see why. Okay, first of all, just to give you an idea what Slovenske novice is for all the friends that came from abroad. Slovenske novice is the most popular printed newspaper in Slovenia. We have a gross reach of 313,000 readers per day and 694,000 per week. Slovenske novice is one of the oldest newspapers here in Slovenia. It's been published for more than 20 years. Hello. Okay. I don't know why I say hello. For the fourth time in a row, we got the Trusted Brand, the Trusted Brand prize. So we're very proud that so many Slovenians trust this brand. 17% of Slovenians between ages 10 and 49 read Slovenske novice. We can say that we are also a little bit popular with Slovenian faculty, primary and high school students. What would the average Slovenian reader of Slovenske novice look like? A man with Volkswagen and active sport women, let's say average family. Average Slovenian family. When we created Slovenske novice online, we tried to reach new target groups with modern urban lifestyle and social media involvement. We'll explain you in a detail why Slovenske novice online is in a bit different than the printed edition. So we have a very wide reach, not only with printed readers, but also now the online users. So, how it all started. Basically in 2010, Delo didn't have its own development or digital department. Some guys at IT there worked with the website, but they didn't really have a focus on what to do. They didn't have a single platform for all the future websites they would be developing. They didn't develop anything on mobile devices. So in 2010, a digital department was established, and it was led by more or less me and Taja. And in 2010, we didn't really know what platform for web we'll be using in the future. And we were thinking, we did the research of all kinds of CMS that are out there. We were thinking on Joomla, the WordPress. We were even thinking on implementing the websites with .NET. So I didn't know Drupal back then, but when I did the research, I seen that it's a very powerful platform. It's very extensible. It has a lot of success stories. So what we did back then is we invited some of the best Drupal experts that were in Slovenia back then, Rok Štebe and Janez, who I consider one of the top experts here now in Slovenia. So we were brainstorming for 2 days what to do is a Drupal good choice for media company. And on the end, and with the success stories that Rok had, we decided we will use Drupal as our universal multimedia platform. So we knew that we will eventually build 2 very large media sites. First Slovenske novice and then Delo, but I was not pretty confident yet with Drupal because I didn't really know what I can expect from it. So what happened in 2011? We built some prototypes, some smaller sites. The first one, you can call it a father, was Pogledi. It was a small website with a very small reach, with the cultural content. Then we developed, basically we just changed the templates. We did the Polet. It's a supplement of a Delo. It has a sport content, a more relaxed content, a health content. I won't go into details. Then we did Delo in Dom. It was also it was the third important prototype that we did. And when we got the experiences of what we can expect, in 2012 we developed the site Slovenske novice. This is a child of this strange family. And in parallel we also developed a universal SSO portal that we use to authenticate users between all of these Drupal websites. So this is just to give you an idea of how we started with Drupal. When we started to build the website, the first thing and very important thing was that we got a new editorial team. We headhunted these folks from Journal. They came because they had a pretty good idea on what they wanted to do with the website, what users they can expect, what content will they offer to them. So they were really focused on what do we have to offer to our users on this new brand, the online brand of Slovenske novice. They were also very demanding, and they say we had some website before of Slovenske novice, but it was built on underlying in-house CMS. It was not really extensible. They were not satisfied with it, and they said we cannot compete with others with this shit. It was like this. So we said no problem. We have Drupal, and from that on, from that day forward, the Drupal was the technology term everybody was talking about, but nobody really knew what it meant. I mean, they knew, but on a higher level, people really didn't know. But the Drupal was top. Yeah. Okay, we were like development officers. We were basically both coordinating the team as project managers. Sorry, Stock, I could not resist this. So for this particular project, we hired some experts on from the designers. We have this company GUI. They helped us build the whole conceptual design of a web page, and Istok helped us as a Drupal themer. When I was looking for the body for Istok, I Googled it like Easter egg. Okay, then the developers. We had three developers that were external developers, and we also had one good developer, but he didn't use Drupal before, so we call him a Drupal rookie. So he did a lot of modules on Slovenske novice, but we wanted to have a different team with different knowledges on Drupal. We also had a teamer here that helped us, so the team was very powerful. Okay, on the dark side of the moon, of course, we also had one IT guy that took care of the configuration for Varnish, because Slovenske novice, I think we have around 60,000 unique visitors per day. So Varnish is very important for us. So we give Gaspar the responsibility to take care of the Varnish caching. We're also very proud that we had a big brother with us. We asked a professor here on faculty, William Mahnic, to help us with the project, because he's really a Scrum Master, Scrum methodology expert, and we wanted to have them on our team to look over us on what we are doing, if we are doing it right, what we are doing wrong, and we also knew if we have an external team member that will be more formal, and we didn't want the Scrum thing go berserk. So we knew that if we have an external team member, that will be okay. Some project highlights before I give the word to Taja. Before we started actual planning, the actual development, we have almost 3 months of preparation. We did the analysis of our competitors' websites. We put all our ideas into one bag and brainstormed what is good, what is bad, what our visitors would like to see on our website. We did all the conceptual design of the web page, so almost 3 months of planning before actual development. The development listed for around 7 months, and we used the Scrum methodology. Taja will explain you in details on how we use this methodology. Before we started, or before we went online with this new website, we started with 197,000 unique visitors and 4.5 million page views monthly. We launched site 3 days before the national parliamentary election, so we had very big balls, and it was worth it. I mean, nothing went wrong. The traffic was 3 times higher than usual, but our servers were scratching their butts, so everything was okay. Okay, in January 2013, that's 2 months ago, the site reached 356,000 unique visitors and 90 million page views. If you look at the charts, you can see that the site is progressing all the time. The visitors are growing, and our next goal is to beat Journal. That is like 100,000 users, unique users per month ahead of us, but I think we can reach it, in approximately 7 months, perhaps 6 to 7 months, because the editorial is very focused and they really know what they are doing. So if they'll keep the pace and be better than even better than they are now, I think we'll beat them, because they know Journal, because they work there. From the very beginning to this moment, the site didn't have any problems at all, except 2 days after launch, Janez did one harakiri on a website, because if you are developing the site for 7 months and you are used to press the clear all caches button every day, when you do this in production, you have a very funny result. You can get a very funny results. So this was just an overview of the project. Now I'll give word to Taja that will explain in details about something about the Scrum and everything else that we did as project managers.
Thank you. I won't go into too many details, I hope. I would like to explain to you the strategy we used while developing Slovenske novice. And as Rok mentioned before, the development of the whole solution was actually based on the editorials. We worked in a close collaboration with editorial board. One of the members from the editorial board was also our product owner inside our Scrum methodology. And actually we built all the site around the content and the management of the content, so that because our mission was actually to get more content to users and actually to get a lot of new features, user-generated content and other kind of candies to users to grow the traffic on the page, and also the number of users that come back and stay there and register. Because one of the missions of this project was to start the monetization of the content in the future on Slovenske novice. Well, if I explain to you how we personalized Scrum for our project, I think that we all know that when we, for example, two teams approach each other and they start talking about methodology they use while developing their products, they say, oh, we use Scrum, and the other team says, oh, we use Scrum also. And then it's always the case that no one is using Scrum in the same way. We know how it should be done by the book, but mostly all teams personalize the experience to suit their needs. Our idea was actually to follow the Scrum methodology as closely as possible, so that's why Professor Mahnic was here, kind of very important, this big brother part of the whole process. The difference we used in the structure of the Scrum team was that there were two Scrum Masters, me and Rok. And we had just one product owner, Robert, was actually working with us all the time. And also part of the team was working on remote, and part of the team was there inside in the house. Why two Scrum Masters? Because we had a lot of projects going on in the year 2011. And it was kind of impossible for one person to really lead the project from the beginning to the end without interruptions. So we were kind of backing each other every day. But anyway, still, for example, this morning, morning daily Scrum was sometimes a challenge to have, because it was impossible to get all people at one place because they were scattered around different projects at different places. The tools we used while developing the page was Before we were used to using teamwork project management, and we kind of stick to that during working with Scrum. But we also introduce Agile, and at the end of the process, as probably you have all have the experience, we used mostly sticky notes and our memory capacities, because at the end of the development cycle, all the tools couldn't follow up our development, and especially testing phase. Of course you can.
Because this is really important. On the aircraft carrier, no IT system work when there is a real stressful situation. So they have like a model of a ship and model of every airplane that's on board. So Taja wanted to say this same happened to us with sticky notes.
Yeah, at the end, no one is actually following any of the platforms. We just had everything on our tables. As you know, when you have the inside development team working in collaboration with editorial, you kind of get into tense situations where the ideas about the product get into different directions, no matter how well team works actually. For example, during the process of development, at the beginning, the products you get after sprints are too technologically complicated for end users to test, but at the end of the process, everything looks nice and interfaces are working. But for example, product owners think about, everything looks nice, we should develop new features, and then you have Scrum Masters and developers explaining to them that it's not possible, that you have to stabilize the page, that you have to work on caching and varnish and all this boring stuff editors don't really use. Another funny example is that you have to really customize the CMS before you get editors and journalists at the point when they enter your system, because they press every button they see. Oh, it's clear all cache, for that's an example. They would definitely try this button in a minute, mostly in the middle of the meeting where you are testing the solution. So that we really worked on that, and the experience with our project was also that we introduced journalists and the editors into using a new CMS, which was quite more, not complicated, but it had many more features than the old one they were used to using. We introduced them into using the CMS 2 months before the release of the page. They were actually kind of our first test users of the solution, and that was also the process by which they learned to use the new solution. And one of the things was also that the integration between old page and the new one was introduced really early, so they could actually see and test live how their content is kind of behaving on the new solution. One of the challenges we had was also during the development of the project was also that we were ahead of Drupal 7 platform while developing the solution. It meant that we had to wait for some modules to be developed. before launching them. One of the modules was media module, the biggest one, and the most important one for the editors at the other side, because they really wanted to have a strong, powerful tool to work with pictures and other media materials. So, what we learned about Scrum during testing this methodology, following its principles on this project, is that the importance of brisk but relevant daily scrums is very high. But you have to, if you have a remote part of the team, as we had in our example, you really have to plan another meeting during the day, because otherwise those daily scrums start to be meetings of an hour or hour and a half if you start to discuss all the problems and finding solutions and all things. Then we had, for example, what we also saw, that this clash between importance of the stories. At one hand, you have the owner of the product who is looking at the product from perspective of an editor, and at the other side you have development team who is kind of trying to develop a suitable, technologically acceptable solution, and there are a lot of clashes between the development of the solution during the year. One funny thing is also that planning poker, for example, it doesn't matter how funny it sounds, but at the end it get less and less useful, actually, because developers start to experience burning out syndrome, and they kind of try to prolong the periods of development by playing poker in a different way, while at the other side you have management who is kind of pushing and trying to make developers work with higher speed. This is another funny thing that happens. As I said, agile methodology and heavy testing phase don't go hand in hand at the end, and you went back to sticky notes and trying to manage everything in your head and following, actually it's more about following your instinct than really following any methodology at all. And of course, if you work in a real production environment, which is actually really connected with your end users, as working for a media is, because you're having a lot of daily tasks. You are supporting journalists, you're supporting editors, you're having multi-projects running. It means that Scrum is nice, but you have to kind of manage to get all the other daily tasks in your work time. So we had to kind of develop our own sub-methodologies to add those other projects into our focus. From our perspective, the factors of success are actually, let's say, 4. One important thing is that you have to have real Drupal lovers in your team if you wanna develop such big solution on the platform, because otherwise you kind of don't, people start to skip things that should be done, people don't commit to community anyway, people don't follow what is happening in the community. So it's really important that the core of your development team really follows the philosophy of Drupal and really likes it, because otherwise you have to pressure them to work inside the boundaries of the philosophy. Then another thing, of course, always is team devotion. So you have to have really a team who is really concerned about the product and who is prepared to work extra hours to get the product to get the product from the good solution to the best one. Another important thing, if you're developing media solutions for on the Drupal, is that you have editorial focus there, because you have to test your solutions before you implement them. You have to get the feedback at the right phase of the development, so you know which solutions gonna work, which solutions gonna suit their content needs. And as I mentioned before, actually supervision of our Scrum methodology was quite important, because otherwise we would skip some steps, or just with the idea of kind of losing less time, and it would, Scrum wouldn't work at the end. Now that would be about boring part of our presentation, and let's move to interactive.
Now for the very end, we have a special dessert for you. You'll see the actual, the last 3 minutes we went into production. So when we did the deployment of the whole website, we have 4 different cameras rolling all the time. So you'll be able to see every single expression on every single team member that was involved in this project. So I hope you will enjoy it, if it will work.
Apollo 13. Flight controllers, listen up. Give me a go, no go for launch. Booster. Go. Retro. Go. Final.
We're go flight.
Guidance.
Guidance go.
Surgeon.
Go flight.
Ecom.
We're go flight.
GNC.
We're go.
Tell me.
Go.
Control.
Go flight.
Procedures.
Go.
Inco.
Go.
FAO.
We are go.
Network.
Go.
Recovery.
Go.
Capcom.
We're go flight.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
Roger that, Houston. Pad leader, what's your status?
We are go for launch. T-minus 60 seconds and counting.
Deja vu.
Fuel pumps. This is it. A few bumps and we're hauling the mail.
We are go for launch. T-minus
15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Ignition sequence start. 1. Ignition.
Yes. So thank you very much again. So again, you're really welcomed tonight at Bunker at 9 o'clock. Thank you.